Hello everyone, welcome to another live hangout here at Voice Essentials. Great to be with you. I hope you're having a safe and a healthy and a happy time wherever you are. Many of you are coming to the end of your weekend. I saw Scuba Girl, she's probably gone to bed by now, but early in the chat she's put her hand up and said, I had a massive weekend, I'm going to bed, and she's going to watch the show later. Of course, many of you watch the show as a replay. If you are currently watching this show as a replay, welcome to the show. It's always so good to have you join us, albeit after the live show has happened, but you know that we love having you join us, and very much hope that you feel a part of the community, because you know, regardless, there's no one time in a day that I could do this to help everyone watch it live, because we go out to a global audience here at Voice Essentials. And so, you know, there are people who are right now, you know, hitting the Z's, and some people are in the middle of their work day. But anywho, hopefully this time, you know, if you're watching the replay, joining us live, I hope this brings some value to the next 40 or 50 minutes that you're going to spend here with me and the community here at Voice Essentials. Just a thing to let you know about last week's show. Now, if you were watching last week's show, particularly if you were watching the show live, you'll remember we had some technical difficulties. Now, I'm always the first to put my hand up and let you know when I'm the one that's made the boo-boo regarding the tech. But actually, I found out that last week it was a sort of a local area outage of my internet, or what ended up becoming an outage, and I got caught up in the intermittent prelude to that. And so anyway, we were able to sort of soldier on, but I wanted to let you know what had happened. It actually, for once, wasn't my fault. So anywho, all things going smoothly, we won't have the same issues today. Now, today we're going to do Q&A again. So if you've got questions, now is the time to be asking those questions. Of course, I do give preference to people who are doing super chats. Can I just say about the super chats, besides the fact that if you are paying money to have your question answered, then of course you should receive preference to you know, jump up the slot in having your questions answered to the best of my ability. However, can I also say about the super chats, all of that money, and it's often very small amounts, and that's okay, that all goes to the support of me being able to do these live chats with you. And so even if you just simply want to donate to the channel so that we can keep doing this together, that would be gratefully received. And I'd love to have you, you know, give into the community. Yeah, so if you want to do that, all you got to do is hit the little super chat icon or something at the bottom of the chat. I don't know how you do it. I have given some super chats to other creators at different times, just to be show some gratitude to what they're doing. But if you want to do that for Voice Essentials, be assured that all of those funds get invested back into the channel so that I can continue to not only do the live chats, but also produce really great content for you guys and gals. I've got to get out of that language of guys and gals. It's very gender derived, and I want to sort of change my language. Maybe I need a swear jar every time I use gender specific. I've got to get out of that habit. Okay. Also, next week, I am super excited about this. We have a laryngologist joining us on the live chat. I want you to put this one into your diaries. This is a show not to be missed. Of course, if you can't watch it live, that's okay. It will be there ready for you to watch as a replay. But this show, now, the laryngologist is a personal friend and colleague of mine. Her name is Georgie Harris. Georgina Harris, Dr. Georgina Harris. She's from Sydney, and you know, I'm always, there wouldn't be a week go past when I'm saying to a singer who's asking for advice about their voice and directing them, please go and see a laryngologist for a vocal assessment. And so what I want to be able to work, step through with Dr. Harris and yourselves, I want to step through, well, what does that mean? When Dr. Dan says, I think you should go and see a laryngologist, I want to step through with you what that will ultimately look like. What does it mean to see a laryngologist? And what does a laryngologist do with you when you step into their rooms and surgeries? So, yeah. Also, can I just give a shout out to Karen from Singwise? Hey, Karen, I can see you in the chat. Karen had a live chat earlier today, I believe, with someone who has been on our channel before as a guest, and talking about hormones. Well, I think it was with Nancy Bowes. I'm pretty sure it was with Nancy. And so I encourage you to jump after today's hangout, jump across to Karen's channel on YouTube on Singwise, and go and have a watch of that. Ladies, it's of particular interest to you. Guys, not so much, unless you want to be a little bit more educated around these dastardly things we call hormones, which is a good thing, guys. Make sure you go and do that. That is gender specific, appropriately so. Okay, now, what else I wanted to let you know? Oh, so many good guests coming up. So next week we've got Georgie, Dr. Harris. So as you can hear, I'm first name basis with Dr. Harris. Now, who else have we got coming up? We've got Professor Brian Gill coming on the show again. Super excited about that. We've got Dr. Joan Melton from New York coming on the show before the end of the year. We've got Dr. Shannon Coates. Shannon's a long-time friend of the channel, but she's coming back on before the end of the year. Who else have we got? I'm trying to remember. We've got Dr. Marcy Daniels Rosenberg coming on, co-author of Vocal Athlete. We've also had Dr. Rosenberg on before as well. But like I was saying to you last week, we have so many high quality people come onto this show. And so can I encourage you, don't miss a show. The way to not miss a show is make sure you subscribe to this channel, Dr. Dan's Voice Essentials, and you've then got to hit the white bell icon. Typically it's found in the top right hand corner. Or not top right hand corner, it's often at the bottom of the, anyway, you'll find it. It's a little white bell icon, and that gives you the notifications to let you know when we're going live. As you know, we do go live every Monday at 1 p.m, but just so you don't forget, because so many good people coming onto the show between now and the end of the year. I think I was sharing last week that, you know, I saw one particular person, an international pedagogue, who was doing these types of interviews, but it was behind a paywall. You had to pay to go and watch these interviews. Here at Voice Essentials, these are free. These are, and you know what? And the people that come on, our guests, they do it for free. It is just a real generous offering by them, because these are some of the top people in the world, and that's not just me saying that. This is a fact. Some of the people coming on this show are just, I'm humbled to have them come on. Sometimes you'll see me fanboying a little. Okay, we need to get into some Q&A. Super excited to do that, and we will do that after I press all the right, hopefully I press all the right buttons. If I press this button, what happens? think I let I think I let it play too long. I got carried away with what I was doing. Okay, jumping into some Q&A. Always good. I'm just double checking. We don't have any background music going, which is good. Just had to make sure of that. As if you've been watching the show for any length of time, you know occasionally I miss that. Jimmy the Human. Jimmy the Human has asked, I have a question. We kind of figured that, Jimmy. I'm a rapper and my signature sound requires me to rap in a raspy voice. I've noticed sometimes when I go into the studio, it's super difficult to get that raspy sound. Any advice? It all depends on your definition, Jimmy, of the word raspy. If by raspy you mean a air disturbance that is sort of a rough breathiness to the sound, I have a video on that you can jump into the channel and have a look at how to establish that sort of dirty, breathy sound. And I've come onto quite a few people have commented on that video saying this is not a raspy sound, blah blah. Well, actually, for my definition of the word raspy, that's how I think of raspy, as a dirty, breathy kind of sound. What they're saying is that it's not a distorted sound. And distortion, vocal fold distortion, is different in my definition of it to raspy. And so, you know, one of the challenges, Jimmy, and I take the point that you've got this signature sound that requires a rasp in the rap. Be very careful in your use, and I'm kind of glad that you find it super difficult to get that raspy sound, because I want you to always be making a choice to add that rasp. I don't want that to become your habitual sound, because a habitually raspy voice is likely to fatigue quicker and to wear and tear rather quickly. And so we want to make sure that your voice is, you know, not running aground, running the danger of wear and tear too readily. So anyway, if you're looking for raspiness, you can go and check out the video on the channel. Ryan O'Rourke, LOL, is that what that is? If my vocal sweet spot is between E and C, so I'm going to make a guess here, Ryan, that that's E3 and C4. What keys should I be writing my songs in ideally? So, Ryan, I've got a particular student at the moment who will remain nameless, who I'm regularly back and forthing with them over the fact that there is no perfect key for your voice. What there is this thing called tessitura. Tessitura is the mean average notes of a song, yeah? And so a song might have, let's use what you've written here, Ryan, as E and C. So let's say the majority of the songs, notes, sit within that E to C range. So just over a perfect fifth, it's up around a sixth. And so it's sitting, most of the notes sit there. So that would mean that, I'm getting ahead of myself, but maybe say some of the notes, you've got 1 or 2, 3 notes that are sitting lower, and perhaps they're getting to, maybe there's a C3 or down to a B, a B3. But maybe there's 2 or 3 notes that sit just above that, above the C4, and maybe it's a an F, maybe the top note is an F4. Well, we don't take that. That means the range of the song might be B3 up to F4, but the tessitura, the mean average of the notes, maybe the majority of the notes actually sit way down around E3 and F3. And so actually the tessitura of that song sits in the lower part of your voice. And so it may well be that you could be doing that song in E major, it could be in C major, it could be in A major. There's a number of keys that could legitimately sit. In fact, pretty much every key you could write in could be written to accommodate a low tessitura of that piece. I do have a video on this very subject. What's his name? Ryan. That you can go and just type in tessitura, T-E-S-S, tessi, I think it's I-T-U-R-A. Spelling's never been my strong point. Anyway, and so it really, there's no, I know some singers do get into, I think, a misdirected habit where they rock up to gigs and go, my key is G. We're going to play everything in G. There may be songs where you feel most comfortable in G. But if you try to sing every song in G major, it ain't going to work on every song. So you've got to kind of really track it out per song, because every song is going to have a different tessitura, and you're going to have to decide where that fits. Now, occasionally, those extreme notes, those 2 or 3 high notes, or those 2 or 3 low notes, actually do have an impact on whether you can sing that song or not. But more often than not, you want to make sure that the song is, the tessitura is matching your prima voce, your sweet spot. I've just seen a super chat from Jimmy the Human. Thanks, Jimmy. I'm really glad that that answer. Oh no, he wants to buy another message, and he's going. I'm going to grab it here just very quickly. All I was going to ask though, is there a way I can talk to you one-on-one about this at some point? If so, how do I book that session? Jimmy, what you can do, I do teach online. I've been teaching online for oh dear me, 10 years. Been teaching for 25 years, but been teaching online for 10. And so what you can do is go across to my website. Now the website for my voice lessons, see the website that's going along the bottom here? Anyway, you can see it going along the bottom of the screen. voiceessentials.com.au is the website to get to the online courses. To get to my one-on-one lessons, you've got to go to a different website. Now, the link is listed way down in the description section under this video, but the website is www.djarts.com.au. And in the top right-hand corner, Jimmy, you'll see a button that says Book Lessons Online. I can tell you, I'm pretty much booked solid for the next 3 or 4 weeks, but you should be able to find 1 or 2 slots after that. So if you're wanting a one-on-one, Jimmy, you can go and check that out. Okay, beetroot banana. That would be quite the combination. And I'm not a big fan of either of those. Well, I'm not a fan. Is beetroot a fruit? I'm not sure. I don't think it would be. It would be. It's more a root, isn't it? Or a turnip, or what is it? Someone look it up on Google and put it into the chat and let me know what beetroot is. But beetroot banana, I'm not going to be able to do that. How do I sustain, Beetroot Banana is asking, how do I sustain my voice without a shaky sound? Really great question, Beetroot Banana, BB. There's two things that can give us a shaky voice. And in fact, they're kind of the opposites to one another. More often than not, a shaky voice is going to come from having too much pressure sitting up underneath the larynx, what we refer to as subglottal pressure, or PTP, phonatory threshold pressure. And having too much pressure will have it push and drive. And so the larynx then wants to, sit and hold that pressure back. But if you can think of any muscle under real load, it gets to sort of a shake because it's, yeah? And when we get that level of shake, then as the air is flowing through that musculature that is under that much load, you are going to then experience a shaky voice. And I've just seen that Matt, thank you, Matt, has told us that beetroot is a vegetable. It's a tuber. A tuber that's the word I was looking for, like a potato or turnip, and it's purple. Yes, I know. I know it's purple. I wonder, Matt, I'm going to give you further homework. Is there any form of beetroot that is a different colour to purple? We learn more than just singing here at Voice Essentials. Okay, the opposite to that, Beetroot Banana, is that you can have too little air pressure. And so when we have too little pressure, then our flow rate, our PTF, can drop off. And so there's just not enough air to create a consistent even flow, a even PTF, phonatory threshold flow. And so as a result of that, that can leave the sound sounding what might be described as shaky. They're going to, one with too much pressure, shaky with too much pressure, as opposed to shaky with too little pressure. They will sound different, and certainly as the singer, you will experience them as being different. But the key, and this is going back to your very first part of the question, how do I sustain my voice? It comes back to breath. It comes back to the consistency, the evenness of your breath flow. I know that you're going to find people on YouTube who, swear black and blue that you don't have to worry about your breath. I respectfully disagree. I find that most people will benefit from developing a greater awareness of their body, their breath system, and their ability to manage both of those. And so certainly as a part of the online course and as a part of my private lessons, I do sessions with working on breath management, and pretty much everyone who goes through that process with me experiences significant benefits. So that's what I'd be saying to you, Beetroot Banana. Make sure you work on your breath flow. Linda's about to give me the answer as to whether beetroot, beetroot can be any other color than just purple. For some reason, I want to say that you can get a yellow beetroot, but I'm sure Matt's about to let us know. Okay, cutting edge karate. I've heard that when I sing most pop songs, I should keep my mouth more closed. That is Ed Sheeran, Justin Timberlake, etc. But when I sing most other styles, I should open my mouth more. Is that true? What is true, cutting edge karate, is that what I find with a lot of singers is they do open their mouths far too wide. Now, sometimes that dates back into their choir days where they were of the impression that they should have a a big wide open mouth while they sing. And the idea of that was that we'd have more sound coming out because the mouth was wider. But the only problem with that is more often than not, the wider it is at the front, the more narrow it's going to be, caused to be at the back of the vocal tract. And so you're kind of working against yourself. We won't go into that today. But the point being is that actually I work towards the ideal of a neutral jaw setting. Now, whenever I use the word neutral, particularly in the case of neutral jaw, I'm just going to turn my aircon on, getting a little bit warm. When I'm talking about the word neutral, the illustration I often give is with students is if you've ever driven a manual car, something with a manual gearbox, as opposed to an automatic gearbox, you'll know with an automatic that neutral, when you shift gears, neutral is a locked position along sort of a linear line. Whereas manual, neutral typically is sort of in the middle, and it's got a little bit of play. In fact, in the first car I ever learnt to drive in, which was a 1967 Cortina, it shouldn't have been on the road, but anyway, it had quite a bit of play in the gearbox when it was in neutral. And when I think of the word neutral, that's in fact what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking that we've got this fixed position like an automatic gearbox. I'm actually thinking that the position, the neutral position, has play. So in fact, even though with the Voice Essentials process of learning, in the first number of lessons we learn to have our finger in our jaw, to have what we refer to as neutral jaw position. But importantly, we eventually, in fact, after the third lesson, we're taking the finger away because we don't want the jaw to become fixed. And in fact, as we go higher into our range, more often than not, the jaw does need to drop a little. But the key part in that is a little. Yeah, we don't want to have here in Australia, we have an ad series from Oral-B, which is referred to as flip-top headman. And we don't want to have that sort of whack sort of position. And that also empowers more shaping at the back of the throat, which enables you to develop better tone. And it keeps the tongue more agile for vocal tract shapings of different vowels and articulation of consonants. So I hope that's helpful. Cutting edge karate. There was for a period of time the view that contemporary singing was that classical singing was vertical and that contemporary singing was horizontal. And whilst perhaps we can draw a generalist sort of commentary around that and that, classical, contemporary, I don't know that we're as hard and fast about those sorts of philosophies any longer. Yeah, so that's where I more go to the neutral jaw position as opposed to whether it's wide or open like that. Francisco Alcaba, how to develop head voice. That's a great question, Francisco. It all comes back to how you label your voice registration. And so head voice, I don't tend to use the terminologies head voice and chest voice unless I'm in contexts like this where it's kind of a part of the common vernacular, but in more educated spaces, different language is used. And so when I think head voice, in fact, I translate that into what's called upper register, and then above upper register we have the falsetto, or for females, flute register. And And so if we're talking about head voice as being upper register, then we're working on being able to release the shortened dominant muscles, the thyroarytenoid muscles, to allow the voice to more easily access upper register. If you're talking about head voice being falsetto, then we've actually, to access falsetto, we actually have to completely disengage the lower register, the thyroarytenoid muscles, so that the cricothyroid muscles can completely dominate and activate to access that really high stuff. At the end of the day, I'm a big advocate for the idea that when we're working on things like voice registration, that we are working on our registrations almost in a sense in isolation to each other, and that then we learn to bring those registers together. More often than not, I do that by firstly working in the lower register, creating a sense of dominance and strength of the thyroarytenoid muscles, and then working up, and then in time we know then we can do the opposite, work in our upper register and bring that activation of the cricothyroid musculature and the strength of those back down the other way. I do have videos about all of this sort of stuff. Do you know we've got over 500 videos on the Voice Essentials channel. As you recall, I let us all know a couple of weeks ago, we've had over 10 million views. 10 million views. And I'm really proud of the fact that we haven't achieved any of those views through, vocal coach reaction videos. They are all purely educational. And so, cutting edge karate, you can go and jump over to the channel and search for, I think, in fact, the video's title that I particularly want you to go and watch would be I think it's called Head Voice, Chest Voice, Mixed Voice. I think that's probably what it's called. It's one of the more recent ones. I think we did that at the beginning of this year. It's a pre-record. So, cutting edge karate, I'm not familiar. I haven't seen your name in there before. Just to let you know, we do these live shows every week at 1 p.m. on a Monday Australian Eastern Standard Time, because I'm in Brisbane, Australia. But I do release pre-recorded videos that are fully produced and got animation and all those sorts of, at least entertaining things while we learn. And they come out at least once a month, the first Wednesday of every month. Nico Official, can I ask, while I was singing, there's a tension on my throat or mouth, I think. What is the solution to that? Watching here from Ciba, Philippines. Sorry, I can't speak English very well. Nico, you've done very well with your English. I can completely understand what you're saying there. I'm always super impressed with people who are multilingual. And do you know what, Nico, I don't care if you're really poor at English, because here's the deal, I can't speak any Filipino, so you are light years ahead of me, and so I'm very impressed that you can work with English at all. So if you've got tension in your throat, more often than not, again, it comes back to the breath. And we would want to go looking to make sure, firstly, that your breath flow is even, consistent, and then we have to then look at other issues that can arise. So there is a thing called muscle tension dysphonia as one example, where the muscles have learnt to activate in a overt and almost often in an involuntary way. So their action is aggressive and unwanted. And so someone who's suffering from MTD, muscle tension dysphonia, will typically express, often they'll have a sense of pain in the throat. Then the other thing that can leave you with pain in your throat can be reflux. If the reflux is severe enough, you can experience a tension and a tightening in the throat from that. If you're able to, Nico, I would be encouraging you to see an ear, nose and throat doctor or a laryngologist, as we'll be having Dr. Harris on the show next week, to have your voice fully assessed, because someone like myself, a singing teacher, and even a speech pathologist cannot diagnose your voice. The person who in the team of voice professionals who can care for your voice, the diagnosis comes from the laryngologist or the ear, nose and throat doctor. And so it's important that that's where we start, because if someone like yourself, Nico, rocked up to my studio and wanted to start working with me, and you're explaining that you had these issues, I might do some sessions with you to observe and to see whether it's something as simple as a functional issue with breath and body alignment. And if it alleviates because of some instruction over the first few lessons with me, then great. But sometimes, what I do have to do is, if we can't, find an easy, simple solution, then the only way to really identify what's going on is to send the singer off to the laryngologist for a full vocal voice assessment, because they're the only ones that have got the scope that gets, more often than not, the flexible scope gets stuck up through the nose and has a look at the vocal folds, or the fixed scope goes through the mouth and looks down on the vocal folds. So, but we'll learn more about that next week when we have Dr. Harris on the show. Name changes. I've bought lessons but have no idea when to push my voice and when to practice really mildly. So what should be my approach to practicing the lessons? Name changes. I'm not. When you say you've bought lessons, do you mean you've bought on like an online singing course like Voice Essentials, or do you mean you've received instruction from a singing teacher? If it's the responsibility of, for example, an online course like Voice Essentials, online courses, to kind of instruct you on how to go about using their material. I go to quite a bit of length in the Voice Essentials process to teach my users how to step it through, I could almost be accused of being too explanatory, like in the first couple of sessions, but the reason I do that is because I really want you to get the most out of the lessons, so you really know how to do it. If, on the other hand, it's practicing from a teacher, like you've had one-on-one lessons, then it's the responsibility of the teacher to tell you how to go about that. Now, for example, I had a new student who booked in with me this morning. They're from Sydney, about 1,000 kilometres south of where I am, and he'll be booking in for regular fortnightly lessons with me. And he had said that he had been having some lessons with another person online, but had found that he wasn't getting much out of them because it wasn't a very structured lesson. This is not an uncommon piece of feedback, or not feedback to me, or it's not an uncommon story that I hear, because often a lot of singing teachers, they're very focused on repertoire, songs that you have, you learning songs, and so in a sense the structure of the lesson, and there is a place for this, I'm not boo-hooing this, that often the structure of the lesson is in you learning a song. I think why people do, certainly the feedback I'm given, the people enjoy my lessons is because it's very structured, it's very methodical. We step out technique, one step at a time. You're always given homework. You know exactly what's being required. You get given lesson sheets. And so students are able to sort of step it out in a very structured way, and therefore you always know what you need to practice. And so name changes, it might be that you know your expectations may have not been met. I don't know. I'm guessing a little bit in interpreting what you've said there. How are we going for time? We're doing okay. Melissa Diaz, my voice is not clear when I sing. What do I do? Clarity in our tone can come from too much breathiness. So again, we've got to go looking to be able to adduct the vocal folds more cleanly. I have a whole video on making your voice clearer, Melissa, so you might want to go and check that out. That'd probably be the easiest thing to tell you to do. Yeah, so vocal, if you're not getting a clean adduction, so you're not getting, the vocal folds aren't oscillating evenly and cleanly across the line of the glottis, that can leave us with an overly breathy tone. And so it can really erode the clarity of your sound. Also, you can have disruption to that vocal line through too much. So you'll often hear me use the term, and I used it earlier today, subglottal pressure. That's the pressure underneath the vocal folds. But vocal constriction often also comes from above the vocal folds, with the ventricular folds, the false folds, bearing down over the top of the vocal, the true folds, and that's what we call supraglottic constriction, and that is supra being above, and so you get this sort of disturbance of the phonatory line, the sound, and that can create a disruption and a removal of the clarity of your tone. So anyway, go and check out the video about on the channel, Melissa. You're looking for, you'll excuse me if I can't always remember exactly what they're called because there's over 500 of them. It's called clean a breathy voice or something like that. If I'm remembering, anyway, go for a search. Sorry, Melissa, I can't remember exactly what it is. I think we've got time for 2 more questions at the most. So here we go. Crazy gaming cow. Oh, I love it. People say that I have a good voice, but I don't know from where to start. So I can please get some help, sir. I'm 17, by the way, so I passed my puberty test. I'm glad you passed your puberty test. Really, one of the best places to start is to jump onto my online course. And you can get to it right now via the link. I'm looking at it at the bottom of the page. You can get to it via that link. The first module is 100% free. So you can jump in, experience it, see whether it's for you or not, and go from there. That's what I would tell you. You know, whether you have a good, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and it's also in the ear of the beholder. Not everyone is going to love your voice. My best mate, Matt Thorpe, if you're watching, hi. You're not watching, but anyway. Matt, I remember Matt, and we would have been 16. I was probably 16, 17. And he says to me, point blank, I kid you not, I remember this day. This is a good friend. Says to me, I don't really like your voice. And we were both singers. We were kind of both known in our high school, because that's how we became mates. We were both known in our high school as having, you know, being singers. And he says to me, I don't know whether he was just having a bad day, but I've never forgotten it. I've told him this story and he has since said, well, that's changed now. He does now like my voice. But the point being is, at that point in time, he didn't like my voice. And you know what? And I had to just cop that sweet and go, okay, well, you can't please all the people all the time. Some people, even the people that like you as a person, aren't going to like your voice. Well, sometimes you've just got to reconcile that and be okay with that. But it also can be good fuel for the fire to motivate us to develop and improve and change where we need to change. So, for example, if you do need warmer tone, and I think, in fact, in reflection, my mate Matt, actually what he didn't like about my voice was that it was probably, in his defense, it was probably too sharp and grating. I had to develop better tone. I had to develop more warmth. And so I went about doing that. Oh, now, just Melissa, just to let you know, how good is Linda? Linda has put in here a note for me to say, the video you're looking to search for, Melissa, is called How to Clean the Husky Voice. I don't think that's the one. In fact, Linda, I think it's actually the one I'm thinking of is How to Close the Phonatory Gap. I'm pretty sure that's the heading. How to Close the Phonatory Gap is the one that I think will be a little bit better for Melissa. Mind you, How to Clean the Husky Voice will probably do the same job. But it'll have different exercises in. Go and watch them both, Melissa. Last question for Samantha Aureline. How do you get better breath control, and also how to be able to hold your breath for a long time? Well, firstly, we don't need to learn to hold our breath for a long time because we're not doing free diving here, Samantha. We are learning to sing. And the only way you create sound is to exhale, is to have air coming out of you. So for better breath control, notice I don't use the term control. I always use the word manage. We're developing better breath management. And Melissa, I encourage you to go over and have a watch of my video on Stop Running Out of Breath. I'm pretty sure that is the title. Stop Running Out of Breath. It's quite a long video. It's about 20 minutes long, but it is a in-depth video on how to develop your breath management. I think you'll find that helpful. Another great day. Always love hanging out with you, Vistas. My new affectionate term for people who are part of the Voice Essentials community. Vistas, what do you think? Leave a thumbs up on the video if you've enjoyed our hangout together. Next week, Dr. Georgina Harris. So excited to have Dr. Harris come on the show. Laryngologist. She's going to talk us through, and I'm hoping that I might even ask her some COVID questions around singing and maybe some understandings around that. I hope you have a great week. Just before, for those of you who have hung around long enough, can I just let you know, I've got some testimonial videos. One testimonial video for the Voice Essentials online course, and another one for my private lessons. These are testimonial videos that you, people from the community, have sent in to me, and we've put them together and edited them. And I'm hoping to reveal these videos to you in the next few weeks. Won't be next week, but certainly maybe the week after. And partly because I want to show you all, like, for example, I'll give you a heads up. Linda is on one of the videos because she has private lessons with me. So Linda's on one of the videos, but I'm really excited about them, and I'm looking forward to showing them to you in the coming weeks. Have a great week. Be safe, be healthy, and as always, you'll always hear me end each video by saying, I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.